All right, well, this is day 21, and I'm about to go into the Shenandoah National Park, or the Shennies, as people like to call. It's about 100 miles into this national park, and if you remember me going through the Smokies, I had to pick up a permit. And so right up here, I have to pick up this permit, and we'll see what that's all about. It's a pretty awesome day, chance of rain, wonderful breakfast, that bed and breakfast. I felt like I was a Vanderbilt this morning though. They had breakfast set up and classical music playing, and pretty cool experience. I'm trying to enjoy the journey. All right, so here's the permit station, and it's just this little tag. I'm guessing that's all I'm supposed to do. And it says on all three of them, it says fasten tag to your pack, saddle, boat, or tent. So I'm gonna put it in my pocket for right now, and we'll move on. Tell you what, this has been pretty nice. I'm, in the park now, and it's like, on either side of the trail, it's been brushed down, cut down. It's just really nice stretches of just walking. So it's been a pleasure. Well, I made it to camp, and it's actually very early. I only did 8 miles today, but you know what? That's kind of what I wanted to do. It's 13 more miles to the second shelter, and y'all know I like staying in shelters. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna get here early and hang out, and then I'll go to 13 tomorrow. There's also water issues and all that. So anyway, thunderstorm just passed by. I thought, man, that'd really be cool if it rained and I'm right here in the shelter. But, I'm having to force myself not to allow the trail to become my boss, if that makes any sense. I have to get so many miles, and then it almost becomes like a drudgery, and that's what I don't want to happen. So I was kind of proud of myself for stopping and just enjoying the afternoon. All right, so this is the Skyline Drive, and the trail coming through Shenandoah. I think I mentioned before, it's about 100 miles of the trail and 100 miles of the Skyline Drive, and it comes up to these parking areas and overlooks, and even comes to some what they call waysides. So I'm at this first little lookout here. Let's check this out. It's pretty. So Shenandoah National Park got started in 1930, I believe I'm saying this correctly. And if you think about what was going on in the country, that was right at the beginning of the Depression. So we have this new park, and Roosevelt, like I explained way back in Georgia, they created the CCC. I don't know exactly what year or whatnot, but there's a lot of road work and walls and things like that they're built here in this park that were from that. The CCC allowed the federal government to pay these guys to get some work done and give them some money to feed their families. So pretty historic up here. This stretch of trail, I have no water for the next 13 miles, I think. So anyway, some trail angels have dropped some water bottles there and label it for through hikers and whatnot. So thankful for that. So I made it to the wayside, and this is a smash burger and a blackberry shake. And they've been talking about it on the app. And the guy that makes them, his name is Jose. He's not up there now, but I told them that he was famous and he got so tickled about that. But I'm looking forward to eating this. It's crazy. You're starting to see signs, or I'm starting to see signs of the forest going dormant. Some of the trees are getting some colors, like at all this. Just a couple weeks ago, that was green and vibrant. So this is the signage in Shenandoah. So right there you can see Appalachian Trail north, south. And then it's at a intersection, Pinefield Hut. Shelters are called huts here in Shenandoah. 165 yards. Skyline Drive is that way. So we're going to go this way and check out the hut. And hopefully there is water in the spring. We will soon find out. All right, so here is a hut in the Shenandoah National Forest, built with stone, couple levels in here. Showed up here. There's prom date.
Prom night.
Prom night, not prom date. All right. And unfortunately, though, there does not seem to be a lot of water down here in the spring. So we'll make do with what we got. Well, good morning. Leaving the shelter. That was actually pretty fun. We had, you saw prom night, and then another couple showed up, a husband and wife, and then two gals showed up, and we played cards and talked, and then most of them are going to the place I'm staying tonight. So a little camaraderie on the trail, which is nice. So not a lot today, 8 miles, just really relaxing through the Shenandoahs. My buddy Eric is speaking at church this morning. So Eric, I'm thinking about you. You probably won't see this until after it's all done, but certainly thinking and praying for you. So this is a water stop. With the water being dry, there's not a lot of water in the creeks and stuff, but this spigot right here, I'm at a ranger station, and it described that you can come and hikers are welcome to use that water right there. So that's what I'm gonna get. Okay, well, I didn't see a marker on the trail. You know, a lot of times I'll use rocks or sticks or pine cones or something to mark, you know, a big, you know, mile marker. So I just hit 900, but there wasn't a mile marker, which is fine. So we just thought I'd mention that. So 900 and moving on. And some days it's just like this. Nice little rain, but I got my little umbrella and just sitting and looking out over the Shenandoah Valley. They say there's a fire a little north of here, so I don't know if that's gonna come into play or not, but we'll see. All right, so a busy night at the shelter. Let me show you around. There's my tent. There's Hardway and his wife. Well, made it through the night. It was very rainy. That was probably the hardest rain I've ever experienced in a tent before, but did good other than splashing up a little bit. So the tent is kind of dirty, and when it suns up and dries out, I'll pull it out and let it air out and dry. But I've got an exciting day today. I'm going to, and I appreciate many of you probably couldn't care less about my growing up stories and everything. But when I was a kid, and I've mentioned my grandfather, you know, he lived in Pennsylvania, and he talked about the trail and coming through there, which is it's almost my pilgrimage to get to his house. But we also had a cottage. It was at a Bible conference in Virginia, in Harrisonburg, Virginia, which is this next road I'm getting to goes into Harrisonburg. And so it's called Massanetta Springs. And so I have a shuttle driver that's going to meet me here and take me to Massanetta, and I've called them, and I'm going to stay there actually a couple nights and just enjoy being there and reflecting and remembering. And it's just one of my most favorite places on earth. And if anybody knows me, you've heard those stories. But anyway, so that's it. I got about a mile down the road or down the trail, and then I'm gonna get picked up and we'll go into Massanetta. And you may not be interested in seeing Massanetta, but I do look forward to videotaping for some family that's seen it, and heck, maybe you'll enjoy it too. But it's a cool place. All right. Well, I'm sitting here at the Spring House at Massanetta Springs, and I just, so many memories coming through here. But I'll tell you, and this is what I want to share with you, and I also want to remember for myself. You know, this hike is teaching me to look at every moment and cherish it and enjoy it, because you don't know when it's going to be your last. Like, I think about being here at Massanetta as a kid. You know, I was a kid. I was kind of oblivious. But now, as I'm growing older and hopefully wiser, I realize enjoy and savor those memories. You know, when I came out on the trail this time, I kind of had the wrong attitude. It was like, okay, let me go ahead and hike this trail so I can be done and get back home. And I had to change that strategy of enjoying every day, because that's what I meant when I said the trail was my boss. It was just kind of dictating to me. And then I realized this trail is just a guide as I'm going north. And for me personally, getting to my grandparents' place and my aunt's now. But anyway, so that's what I think I'm being taught. I think that's what the good Lord's teaching me, is just to really cherish every moment. And man, that's easy to say, isn't it? But it's so hard to do. But I think if we just continually try to do that, I think that's the way to go. So this is what you do when it's raining and nasty. When you get an opportunity to dry it out, you just let everything air out and dry out, and you're ready for the next time. And it's so awesome to have the spring right here. So I'm just cleaning my stakes off and my bags and my water reservoir. Looking pretty redneck down here, but it's all good. I'll have it cleaned up in a second. This is behind the hotel here at Massanetta Springs. This is the actual spring right here. They went for a while and marketed that water where it was a cure-all and bottled it. And really cool place. This fire pit here used to be water fountains, but they turned it into a fire pit. This is the front of the old hotel here. You know, I know if you don't know about Massanetta and you don't know me personally, you may be like, this is absolutely boring. It's like watching home videos. But I would spend every summer here at this place, and there was a Bible conference here, and so the pastors would bring their kids, and I'd come with my grandparents, and so I had these friends that we would only see 2 weeks out of the year, and but we had the ability to kind of go wherever we wanted to as long as we stayed on site. Showed up for dinner and bedtime and all that, and it was just a great place. So a lot of memories here. So forgive the reminiscing. This is the Nook. We used to get up on top of that roof and sit and hang out, look at the stars. Lupton building and the auditorium. So here's Lupton, which was a classroom, and I'd always have groups and meetings in there, and then this little chapel right next door is where some people can put their remains or ashes. As a matter of fact, my grandma and granddaddy their ashes are in there. They held on to granddaddy's ashes until grandma died, and then we combined them, and then we placed it in there. I've asked to have permission. They're gonna give me a key to go in there later and just kind of show my respects, but that's where their ashes are held. This old auditorium is an outdoor auditorium. It's got those green things hanging over, covering the inside, but where we lived or where we stayed was this cottage just up here across the street. And we could hear them singing old hymns, and really, really cool. Here's the old swimming pool. I remember being a kid, there was a high dive here. They don't have that anymore. They don't even have a low dive now. Things have changed. Boat ramp, used to have these slicks. Boy, you can tell this is all not used anymore. Used to go under that bridge there. All right, I won't bore you anymore. I did get to go into the cottage though that we stayed in, and different folks are living there, and you know, it's their home, and it's just very different. And I called my cousin, and we were realizing and thinking about how this place just represents the memories, and it's not the place itself. So it's still good to reflect and remember and recognize things change, but that's Massanetta. So it's the morning of my 0 day here at Massanetta, just rocking on the chair and on the porch of the hotel. But thank you for listening to some of my memories and whatnot. I'm gonna take today and maybe get some new shoes. I need some new shoes, so I'm gonna take an Uber into town for an outfitter and resupply, and then just enjoy the day. But I'll be back on trail tomorrow. And so this is probably gonna do it for this one.
So